You've got 20,000 euro to spend on a car, so you're thinking Renault Megane, Toyota Auris, Volkswagen Golf, Suzuki Swift.
Before you run away screaming, let me just say the competition with this kind of equipment level is not much, if at all, cheaper. Not much of a consolation, I know, but taking Swift size into account, you must really want a Suzuki to buy it based on spec. But you really need to test drive it before you choose the world's most boring car, which happens to be Toyota Yaris. This Suzuki Swift is 4th or 6th generation. The first three were also known as Suzuki Cultus, Metro, Geo and Chevrolet Sprint. The first Ignis was sold in Japan as a Swift, and the car you know from 2004 onwards was in fact the 4th generation. Confused? Well, it's downhill from here. In 2010, Suzuki launched the 5th generation, and this here is the 6th. So, what's changed?
The front fascia is clearly different from the previous generation. Based on the opinions I heard so far, I gather it's a bit controversial. Seriously, have you seen the facelifted S-Cross? The S-Cross is like Gerard Depardieu, and this is like Taylor Swift.
Differences in size are also negligible. The new Swift is 1 cm shorter than the model it replaces, it's 4 cm wider, and that's the biggest difference. 1.5 cm lower wheelbase is 2 cm longer, and somewhere along the way the designers managed to find additional 54 liters of boot space.
The boot, let's look inside. It's 265 liters now, which is still the smallest in its class. Fold the back seats, and there is no flat loading area. There is one shopping bag hook, and under the boot floor you get a repair kit. A mini spare may be available in some markets, and it costs around 250 euro.
Keyless access requires pressing a button on the car. In case of the boot, it is hidden, so it will take a couple of times to learn its position. And since we're down here, there's also a reversing camera.
The rear door handles are hidden in the C-pillar. It's all painted black to give you this floating roof impression. It's quite nice to look at actually, but is it comfortable to use in everyday situations? In my opinion, no, not really.
There's plenty of space in the back, perhaps this is why the boot is so small. At least seatbelts don't get caught when closing the backrests, because there is a small guide to keep them in place. I like Suzuki kept the handles above the doors. Some manufacturers save money that way, especially in this segment. There are places for small bottles in the door bins, rather bottles than cans because they are at an angle. There is a tunnel running through the middle, as Swift is available with all-wheel drive in some markets. In the front there is a classic instrument cluster with an onboard computer display between the dials. We've seen this infotainment system in other Suzuki models. There are also a 12-volt socket, a 3.5mm jack socket and a USB port. I have a problem with the USB port though. Every time I plug my phone in to charge, it wants to connect to MirrorLink, and MirrorLink works only when the car is stationary. Moreover, power output is insufficient to charge most modern smartphones, so better get a dedicated 12-volt charger. Glove box is average size, there is no storage under the armrest, because there is no armrest, at least not as standard. It is a 400 euro option. But you do get heated seats and 2 cup holders, and large door bins. Suzuki offers the Swift with 2 engines, each in 2 variants. There are also 3 types of gearboxes. We have a 4-cylinder normally aspirated 1.2 DualJet engine and a 1-liter 3-cylinder Boosterjet. Both can be had with SHVS, which is Suzuki-speak for a mild hybrid. The mild hybrid makes the car more expensive, so does Boosterjet. And so does all-wheel drive. DualJet gets a 5-speed manual or a CVT, Boosterjet gets a 5-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic, and this is the car we have here.
Swift with a Boosterjet engine and an automatic gearbox costs a whopping 20,140 euro, and there are still some small options on the car, which brings the price closer to the 21 grand mark.
Boosterjet with automatic gearbox gives the Swift a 0 to 100 km/h time of 10 seconds flat. It's 0.6 of a second quicker than the SHVS and almost 2 seconds quicker than DualJet. Difference in fuel economy is around 1.5 liters in the city, with 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers for ordinary Boosterjet and 4.8 for Boosterjet SHVS. In combined cycle, difference is less than a liter, so it will take a while before the fuel economy offsets the €2,500 price difference.
But Boosterjet engine is great in the Swift. Seriously, I had to make about 800 kilometers road trip with this car all in one day. With cruise control set to 130 kilometers per hour on the motorway, my fuel consumption was around 5.9 liters per 100 kilometers, and going back on regular roads it dropped to about 5.7. The Swift overtakes with ease, even with 3 people and luggage on board. I didn't feel like I was in anyone's way. I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Suspension turned out to be less of a pleasant surprise. Sure, Swift is comfortable on motorways, but when it hits the pothole in the city, the suspension makes an unpleasant noise. Strange, because the Ignis had decent damping. Good thing the steering wheel returns to its central position when driving out of a U-turn, something the Baleno or Celerio couldn't do.
The Swift is pleasant to drive, it's agile, the seats are comfortable, the AC works very well, it's very efficient, noticeably so. I just have a problem with visibility front up. Like in the Mini, also here the roofline ends quite a bit in front of the driver, so one has to lean forward to see the light at the crossing.
The Swift can be equipped with lane assist, adaptive cruise control and collision warning. The latter seems to be less irritating than in the Baleno.
There are a lot of personalization options for the Swift, and yes, they take the price up even higher. However, as far as I can tell, this is the best city car to drive after Mazda 2. Yes, more powerful super minis in high trim can be astonishingly expensive. But the Swift's got personality, and personality goes a long way.
And what do you think about the Swift? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share. New episodes every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
So, I got back home from recording the Swift, and I was just unpacking some stuff from the car, and then I noticed this. Well, I guess at least it's gonna be easy to service.